Coming up, we have stories about mothering on Mother's Day, husband declining calls when wife is in labor. Oh, that one pained me. Stepdaughter declining meeting stepmom for 4 years. Mother-in-law and husband eating all the food. Sis and husband getting close. Sharing your gluten-free pizza. Taking back birthday gifts and making wedding food, but only on your terms. It's going to be fun. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder, and I've got a Reddit story for you. This one is from the AITAH subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Grounding My Daughter for How She Acted at Mother's Day Breakfast? My husband, 32 male, and I, 32 female, have a daughter, Mia, 12 female, as well as sons, 10 male and 9 male. We all went to a Mother's Day breakfast with my siblings and parents. We had a reservation at a high-end restaurant. My sister, Courtney, 37 female, has 2 kids, 13 female and 11 male. Her son, Dudley, has a friend from basketball whose parents are from the Philippines. My sister and her husband, and no one in our family really except Dudley, are not sports people, but ever since he could walk, Dudley has loved basketball. His parents put him in a program at 2, and that's where he met his best friend. Dudley has gifts from his friend from the nation and has gone on vacation there with him. Dudley was wearing some traditional outfit from the tribe his friend's family is a part of. I don't remember the name of the outfit or tribe, though Dudley mentioned it. Mia is unfortunately going through her preteen, mean girls phase right now. We have tried everything, but she's still acting out. Mia made comments as soon as she saw Dudley, asking him why he was wearing something so ugly. She asked him if he was shopping for clothes in the dark. I told her to stop, but she continued to make fun of him. When Dudley explained what he was wearing, Mia said, "Those people must be weird," referring to the tribe Dudley's friend is a part of. At this point, I told Mia to get up and told her we needed to speak. She got up and I went to the car with her and told her to knock it off. She told me no. After some arguing, we went back and finished our food, and then we drove home. When we got home, I told my husband we needed to speak. After speaking, we told her she was grounded for a week and took her phone away. We went to my sister's house to exchange gifts. While there, my mom said she is upset at how we punished Mia. Is it the ghosts again? All the ghosts here? Spooky shit. We went to my sister's house to exchange gifts. While there, my mom said she is upset at how we punished Mia, saying that she's only 12 and we are being too hard on her. She said that Mia will make mistakes and that taking her phone away is too harsh of a punishment and will only make her resent Dudley. Am I the astronaut? Top comment here. Tell your mother that raising your child is your business, not hers, and you are not going to put up with bad behavior and intentional rudeness. And if you can manage to look at her pointedly, hinting that you also mean her behavior, so much the better. There is no mean girl phase. She's being mean, and you punish her to teach her to not be mean. NTA, taking her phone was my first thought, and it's warranted. I mean, yes, this day and age, taking a teen's phone is definitely like one of the most painful things that you could ever accomplish because they're stuck to it like this, right? And you take it away, and they're like, holy shit, what is this world behind my phone? I don't know what to do with it. I don't understand it. I don't want it. So, yeah, I mean, that creates pain. Pain creates change. The big problem that I have here with Mia's behavior, not with how it was handled, it's NTA. Let's get that out of the way. NTA. For grounding your daughter for how she acted at Mother's Day breakfast? Hell no. Mom's getting in the way, saying that she doesn't approve? Cool. I don't approve with a lot of the shit that you did when you were punishing me as a kid, but parents are the only ones that get a vote, huh? When they went to the car, she told her to knock it off, and Mia said no. That's this. That is like, okay, we've identified that there's an issue. We've identified that there's a behavior that needs to be stopped. Your traditional mouthy teenager at this point would argue with you about why it wasn't bad, but straight up defiance and just saying no, like, okay, come what may. If you are warned about something, you're told to stop something as a kid, and you say no, you are choosing the come what may path. You are choosing punishment. You are choosing to get in trouble. You are choosing to be punished. Mia chose this when she defied the order from mom to stop the bullshit. It got bad enough that she had to take her out of the restaurant to have this conversation. That wasn't bad enough. That wasn't embarrassing enough. This girl has some cojones to just be like, no. What would you do if your kid, if you had to take them out of a restaurant to have a conversation about behavior that they were exhibiting, and told them to knock it off, and they said no. What would you do? I think the phone is probably step one. There's probably something more serious that needs to happen here. And it varies by kid about what would create the kind of pain that would create some change here. But I think an apology is in order, right? Is it not? Is there not an apology in order? Candy Thunder just messaged me and said, I just realized this girl is Navy. No, she's not. Now, Navy Thunder, she's been like this a little bit for a while, but getting out of her routine, post being displaced by tornado and stuff has definitely heightened her teenage girl attitude. She just turned 3 and she goes for the jugular with her words when she's upset or acting out. She just, like, the amount of people that she said that she did not love in the past week has been terrifying. She just goes straight for the most pain she can cause. Oi. Defiance, open defiance, Susan R.S. Like, there needs to be a public apology. And it needs to be heartfelt, and she better frickin' mean it, or she's going to stay in her probationary period with no phone, probably doing chores. Like, there's got to be some pain felt here to know that this is not okay. It's not okay. Yeah, no wasn't an option when I was a kid. I didn't know no was an option. So they wait, let me back up a second here, because what happened after she said no? After some arguing, we went back and finished our food, and then we drove home. So OP, I have a little bit of an issue here. Yeah, there's a no. Wait, what? She said no. They argued a little bit, and then they went back into the restaurant. I'm sorry, but if my kid is behaving in a disrespectful way, I remove them from the environment, tell them to stop, and they say no, they aren't going back into the restaurant. Nope. They can sit in the car running, of course. They could sit in the car without a phone. Annette says my mom was only 4'11" and my brothers would bend down so she could slap them. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from Best of Redditor Updates. You know what that means. Updates. Title of this one is, my husband refused to answer my calls while I was in labor and my brother played a horrible prank. Now my husband is furious. I won't cut him off. Trigger warning, pregnancy and traumatic birth complications. Well, this is going to be a wild ride, isn't it? Originally posted July 6th, 2022. My husband and I got into a fight prior to my daughter's birth a week ago when he casually suggested a paternity test for our daughter when she was born. To be clear, this was completely out of the blue with no warning or reason. I'm a homebody who works remotely with no male friends other than my brother. I told him that he was accusing me of infidelity, and he said he just wanted to be sure, and kept bringing it up until I told him after 3 days of him asking and the stress starting to make me physically ill that I didn't want to talk to him and left to my brother's house. Okay, I'm a little late on the red flag here, but why the would you do this to a pregnant woman, ya brozo? What are you thinking? I called him while I was gone and tried to work it out, but he refused. After all this, I went home the next day to grab some things while he was at work, and I went into labor. I called him 16 times. Before calling my brother, who called him another half a dozen times himself while on the way to pick me up and then on the way to the hospital. It was a horrible and traumatic birth. I started crowning in the car, and the doctor delivered my daughter in the back of my brother's van because I was too far along to move before rushing me in when I kept bleeding. It was horrible. I hated it all. My brother's wife, who is a nurse, even told me she honestly thought I wouldn't make it. I also opted for a hysterectomy as it came to that or something more dangerous. I only ever wanted one or none, but my husband wants a large family. I'm trying to bond with my daughter, but it's been hard. This guy just keeps getting worse. He's not even in the picture yet. He wasn't there for any of this shit. The point is that during this, while I was returning from surgery, 10 hours after I called, my husband finally responded and asked why I hadn't answered his call. However, my brother had my phone and was so angry that he said, "This is her brother. I'm at the hospital. She didn't make it," and turned it off. I don't know that. I don't know that this is the way. I don't know that that's the play. Two horribles don't make it good. That was OP's brother. It wasn't OP. Let's keep that in mind. My husband rushed over and got there when I had just woken up and started shouting until security forced him out, and didn't get to see our daughter until the next day because I was mostly asleep, and apparently they needed my signature to allow him back. My sister-in-law thinks it was horribly cruel, but that he deserved it. But my brother stands by his prank and says that he only gave my husband 10 minutes of the same fear he had felt at my side for 10 plus hours. Whenever he sees my husband, he also keeps telling him that I nearly died because we waited for him. My brother used to be mostly indifferent to my husband, but now he absolutely hates him. You can see it in his face whenever my husband enters the room. And he's even been visiting a lot because he doesn't trust my husband to care for me while I'm still healing. My husband is furious that he won't apologize and that I won't make him, and yelled at me when I said that the only reason my brother had my phone was because he wasn't there. I'm trying to be empathetic. I know he feels guilty. I've spoken to my therapist and she says the apathy I'm feeling is likely general and not solely focused on him from lingering shock from the trauma, but didn't say much about the prank. My mother-in-law has been texting me to say that my family is horribly cruel for the prank and that I should go no contact with my brother, and now my husband is saying the same. Well, of course they are. I just don't know what to do. I'm not in a good headspace. It's been hard to be in the same room with my husband, and I've been sleeping in the guest room with my daughter. He brought up the paternity once, and I just exhaustedly told him to either get out of my face or go stay with his mom if he's planning on stressing me out even more. I really don't feel like myself, and yes, I am taking the likelihood of PPD seriously, and my therapist who has suggested that it may be PTSD too. However, I just want more opinions because I just don't know. There's relevant comments, there's updates, there's this kind of stuff, but hubby, straight to AskCon 1. No reason to suspect his partner of infidelity, yet right before the baby is born is like, I want a paternity test. Just from a surface look at this, that's him freaking out. That's him freaking out and projecting his freaking out onto you and thinking maybe there's a way out of this. But to put your partner, the person you're supposed to love and care for and protect at all costs, in that amount of pain and danger because you're freaking out and can't get your shit together is 100% unacceptable, you piece of shit. You don't deserve to be a father after this shit. You sure as don't deserve to be apologized to. The fact that OP is letting you stay within a 10-foot proximity of her and this child is by her own grace right now. Don't rock the boat. You are not entitled to jack shit here. You are lucky to be here. Shut the hell up and be helpful or leave. Relevant comments. Comment, holy, there's a lot here. I want to say, firstly, this isn't a black and white issue. The fight you had was real, your anger was real, and the anger you feel at your husband is real. Your brother's prank was too far, but not completely undeserving. The big issue is that everyone's pride is still seemingly involved here, and there isn't a concrete solution when everyone is pointing fingers. I suggest waiting 2 months to see if either one party humbles themselves or to let it peak. But if they keep the conflict going, let everyone know that they're cut off. It's not fair to you to have to choose one or another party when it was you in labor and your life on the line. Original OP's response, if it came to a choice in this moment, I feel like I'd choose my brother. He has never not been there for me and literally the older brother every sister wants. I feel so guilty feeling that way, but also my brother, even though he absolutely hates my husband right now, has put that aside to help me and hasn't brought it up at all and has even ignored my husband's anger because he doesn't want to get into an argument and stress me more. I'm still just feeling like I'm not looking at this clearly though. Because he's my husband and my own anger about this is too much wrapped in trauma right now. No. God, sometimes I wish I could just have OP here to ask questions on, and maybe someday we'll get into like the whole live call-in thing so we can do that. Let me know if you guys would enjoy that. We have the tech. We have the technological capabilities to be able to do it. I would love to do it for this story because I want to know this. Is hubby being helpful? Is hubby caring for you and the baby right now? Or is he just there because his pride forces him to be there? Because if he's not there, he's perceived as a shitty dad. Who's actually caring right now? Who's actually doing the right thing right now? If he's just sitting around brooding and bitching, he's already accused you of being unfaithful right before your baby was born. And if he's trying to force you to make a choice at this point, come what may, that's him. That's on him. That is on him. All right, we can dive into the update here. Who's in his ear giving him the idea that he needs it? Oh, it's his mom, 100%. Because who made the call? Who sent the message? And who's been the narrator behind the whole, your family is terrible. What a cruel thing to do. They need to apologize to my baby boy. Okay, mom's probably also the one that was chirping in his ear about paternity. Why though? If it is him just freaking out, that's one thing. If it is mom chirping in his ear about that, it is a completely different thing. Part of the projecting the freak out could be caused by cheating. Could be. Let's see here. Here's the update. July 8th, 2022. So 2 days later. I can't update the old post, but since so many people reached out, I thought I'd make a new one. So I don't think this will be something we can come back from. I just don't think I'll be able to heal with him because there is no way he didn't know it was me calling. And he still hasn't told me why he didn't answer. You know what? We didn't really even address that part. He knew his wife was to term. She was going to be in labor at any time. And she calls like 20 times and he doesn't answer. You're done. You're cooked, bro. I know I thought I wouldn't decide right away, but I actually don't want to forget how terrible it was waiting on him, thinking he couldn't possibly leave me like that no matter how angry he was, but he did. I took the time to think of that moment before it all went down and just how grossly betrayed and scared and alone I felt while the contractions were hitting and I was on my knees trying to breathe through the pain while waiting on the phone while it rang through, and I just don't think there's any coming back from that. I wouldn't want my daughter to think it's okay to stay with the man who destroyed her trust that way either. That's it. Making the decision for your kid, as in what kind of decision would I want my child to make in this situation? And there's your answer. OP did it. I will be contacting an attorney and I will be meeting with him in the coming weeks. We had a prenup, so hopefully it won't be too hellish, I hope. I feel like this situation became even clearer when my friend asked me if I'd still trust him as the one to sign off on my medical papers, and the reaction to that was visceral. I wouldn't. And I want him to get off that legality as soon as possible, in fact. There are roommates I had in college who I would trust more. I would have never ignored so many calls from him consecutively unless I had told him expressly that I was unavailable at a specific time. And even then, I feel good with my brother and sister-in-law here with me, especially so with her being a nurse and having been there through the birth. It's really helped us bond in a way that we never really had time to. I've also finally told my old friends about the baby, and they are alternating to come and help me out for the next little while. None of this even touched the paternity test. But I'll get to it for the proceedings, I guess. So I guess he'll get what he wanted. Oh shit, she's still gonna have to do it? Anyway, I'm safe and well, and my daughter is healthy and happy as a peach and pretty much an angel who is happy to sleep peacefully anywhere and took the boob with ease, which is such a blessing since everything still hurts. Just making the decision has taken an odd weight off my shoulders, and my sister-in-law has been really helping us bond. No kidding though. Having a baby who sleeps and feeds well is a way different experience than having one who won't. And as stressed as she was to have that, huge deal. Anyway, thank you for letting me write this out. I'm not good at diaries or journals, but writing to people feels different, and it's actually brilliant for the clarity of the situation. Even my therapist said that I seemed clearer and calmer. I might try the diary again as suggested. My husband suddenly asked for a paternity test prior to my daughter's birth. The general consensus is to check that he may be projecting. In divorce, lawyer's opinion, is this common? Is it worth hiring a PI? Okay. And then, we have another update here, I believe. All right, here's the July 9th, 2022 update. Some intro into the case, popped the paternity test question on me with no reason. We fought for a couple of days before I went to my brother's. I was within 2 weeks of my due date, went into labor at her house, called him 16 times. Brother called him 7 to 9 more. He did not answer. My brother had to pick me up, had a traumatic birth, kept bleeding, was lucky to be conscious enough to sign for myself to get a hysterectomy when things went wrong, nearly died. He contacted me 10 plus hours later, unapologetic. He mentioned the paternity test again the week plus since, still has not told me why he didn't answer. I will now be going forward with divorcing him as I no longer trust him as a partner. Well, it's been a couple of days. And he still hasn't explained himself why he didn't answer or why he's pushing with this paternity test. Ugh. It feels like the coward's way of asking for a divorce, does it not? We do have a prenup, me with my house and my business, and him with his money from his family. I do intend on filing for full custody, as I think his reaction, whether spiteful or not, was dangerous, and as a father, missing calls 23 plus in a row could be a life and death situation. Agreed. Is it always worth investigating infidelity in divorces if it's suspected? And do any divorce lawyers find this at all seemingly suspicious in their opinions? I will be contacting my lawyer this week. I'll be likely getting the paternity test for the divorce. Here's some relevant comments to that update. Comment: there's almost no chance that you'll be awarded full custody because your husband ignored phone calls and wasn't present for the birth of your child. Often mothers have majority custody while the infant is young and gradually transition towards a more equitable arrangement. Whether or not it's in your best interest to investigate potential infidelity depends on your location, the contents of your prenup, and other factors. Edited to add, if, for example, you live in a fault state where cheating could affect the distribution of marital assets, or your prenup contains an infidelity clause that would benefit you, then this might be worth pursuing. You need to discuss this with your lawyer. Your question about your husband projecting is more psychological than legal. Original OP, thank you. I will follow up with my lawyer's lead, or I will follow my lawyer's lead, but I do feel rather strongly about a man who would put spite over another person's well-being when they know that they are in a vulnerable position as a reason not to have a child rely on them. I never thought that I would be saying that. I married him, but I think anyone who has an unreliable partner should be aware of such for their children. It is not my intent to keep him from her. And I agree, it is more psychological. It was just used a lot in regards to his actions, and I was curious if a divorce lawyer found that a lot of false infidelity accusations came from partners who were cheating themselves. That's probably less a divorce lawyer's question and more of a counselor therapist question. I would believe that's possible. There is a freak out. You know, what seeded that freak out? We don't know, because he caused all this bullshit and never gave any context whatsoever. Not even to try to like work his way back in. He didn't put any effort into firming up his position as the husband and father. He did none. In fact, he distanced himself right before and then did nothing to try to build a foundation and be a part of their lives. He nothing. Absolutely nothing, which to me says, yes, something caused it. It's a freak out. He doesn't want to be a part of this. And if he doesn't want to be a part of it, he doesn't get to be a part of it. I don't know, how far this traces back into mom's involvement into why he freaked out. The fact that she was so quick to throw stones here about the prank either means that she knows nothing about him even asking for the paternity test. She knows nothing, and just at the surface saw him get attacked for no reason with this horrible prank, which was not cool. But I mean, the guy did a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Not just bringing up the paternity test right before you're due, but not answering 20 plus calls consecutively. And because of that, OP and the child almost being lost. Like, you're done. You are done. If you want to come back from that, it's going to require a huge amount of effort, of which he has given none. Yeah, I'll send him here again. I already did that. We'll give him Brozo again. He gets this. He gets the DFHB thumbs down. And I'm sending him to AskCon 1 again just to make sure that he stays there. This guy has done everything he can to avoid being a father. Everything. It's terrible. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Calling My Stepdaughter Ridiculous for Refusing to Meet Me Even Though It Has Been 4 years? I've been with my husband for 4 years now. He was divorced 1 year prior to us meeting and dating and separated for a while before that. His oldest, Evie, was 18 when he and I started dating. He also had Sarah, then 15, and Ben, then 11. I got along great with Sarah and Ben. However, when we started dating and my husband wanted to introduce me to the kids, Evie had just moved for college. I met her on a video call with my husband, and she was pleasant enough. However, when it came to meeting in person, she kept making excuses. I tried to reach out to her online, adding her to our family's group chat, etc., but no dice. It has come to a head now with her university graduation. She got a few tickets, but none for me. We didn't make a fuss because she wants her mom and grandparents there, but my husband suggested I come to dinner with him, her, and her siblings. Evie has objected to this, saying she has so little time with the three of them that my presence would be a distraction. I'll red flag that. When my husband told me, I got upset, and I asked when the hell would it be the right time for me to meet her? It's been 4 years. I'm obviously not going anywhere. I called her ridiculous, and my husband got mad. He said we need to respect her feelings. I think she's dragging this out for no reason. Her siblings like me and agree that she's dramatic as well. Am I the astronaut? Note here from Candy Thunder. Reddit was incredibly divided on this story, so it's going to be interesting to see how our family here feels. Half believed OP should meet her just to be a decent, cordial human being. The other half believe Evie is an adult and owed OP nothing, even meeting her. Thoughts? There's no known reason for her to be against meeting OP. It just kind of sounds like she's being difficult and not even giving OP a chance. Candy Thunder, you can meet someone and be kind without forming a relationship. Sure. Has she never... I mean, she's in college now. Surely she's learned how to be fake nice by now. Marble City Mom Meow says daughter can act out, but you don't talk smack about spouse's kids. So right now, you guys are leaning towards Evie should just meet her. And I think that's the difference here is that she didn't have to have a relationship with a step/bonus parent until after she was already a legal adult and moving away, right? So she didn't experience the adolescent side of being in a blended family. It's all basically starting with adult life for her. And I understand it's different and it's something that, she doesn't want to get used to because it's different. But I personally feel like Evie, if she loves and respects her father enough, it is doing him or giving respect to him to give the person that he chose to spend the rest of his life with at least a chance. And also, she has to understand and accept if she loves him and respects him, she has to respect the choices that he made. This was a choice that he made. It's not like OP just showed up and she's like, boom, I'm here. No one asked me to be here. I just miraculously appeared. That is not what happened. He chose to be with her. Personally, I feel like this is on dad. This is on dad to be like, look, I understand you don't have to be friends, but being civil would be good. And you need to understand that she is a part of my life, as are you. So if you aren't going to be accepting of her, let's go ahead and just acknowledge the elephant in the room. We aren't going to be able to be as close. We aren't going to be able to see each other as often. We aren't going to be able to have as tight-knit of a relationship for the rest of our lives because you refuse to be around her. If you feel strongly enough about this to accept that, to accept the cost that's associated with this, that's your decision to make. You're an adult. You're an adult. You can make that decision, but context would be nice because right now it just seems like this decision was made out of the clear blue. Like you blame her for the marriage not working out, whatever it was. Maybe dad cheated with her and then they got together. We don't know that part of it. It doesn't sound like that's the case, but it could be. She clearly blames OP for something. Just has no interest in getting to know her, which is childish. She's entitled to her opinion. She's a grown-ass woman, but she does have to accept that there are costs with that decision. And I feel like dad needs to have that conversation with her and be like, look, I get it. You're entitled to your own opinions. You're entitled to like or not like anybody. She's a part of my life. And if you want me to be around, you're going to have to at least fake nice with her. We're a package deal. Him being willing to go without her bothers me. But that's me. And I understand it's his little girl and he's going to go. I get that part of it too. But I think dad is showing a level of disrespect to wife by not standing up for her here, by not advocating and just letting her shut him out. Okay. So, the poll did end. What were the results there? Okay. So we had 133 votes. 91 of those were that Evie should just meet her. And that's where I'm at too. But I think it's not a decision that is going to be solely on Evie. I think my charge is to dad to facilitate this and to be a mediator or just a facilitator and explain to her what this means. Letting her get away with treating her like an outcast is only going to facilitate more treating her like an outcast. If he is okay with that, that needs to be a conversation between OP and him and say, I want you to acknowledge the costs of allowing this to happen. And that cost is going to be a little fracture in our relationship because it's a sign of disrespect. There's always a lot more that we don't know. I feel like it's a dad thing for me. It's a dad thing. I mean, it's an 18-year-old kid, which is a legal adult, and they, kids have thoughts and feelings and opinions too. But I think as a parent, helping them navigate those thoughts and feelings and opinions is our charge, right? Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from AITAH and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Flipping Out on My Mother-in-Law and Husband for Eating All the Food Before I Had Eaten? Damn. Ever since I gave birth 4 months ago. Hold up. You're 4 months postpartum and they left no food for you? I'm not even into the story yet and I'm throwing red flags. Hey guys, make sure we don't feed the person that really needs it. Okay, cool. Ever since I gave birth 4 months ago, so I have 4 kids total, my mother-in-law has been showing up whenever she wants, and when she's here, she always helps herself to whatever she wants. She has never offered to help me or the baby in any way, shape, or form. She's basically here to see her son, and that's it. Like about 3 weeks ago, I made a small pot of coffee, enough for 2 cups. I went to go nurse the baby while waiting, and at some point, my mother-in-law shows up, lets herself inside. When I came out, she had drank the entire pot. I had no coffee grounds left. Or she's eaten my leftovers straight out of the fridge multiple times, and she'll always be like, thanks for the food or coffee, as if I offered it to her when I absolutely didn't, because all she's doing is making my life miserable. I told my husband to speak to her about it, and he told me he did, but I truly don't think so. I spoke up the last time she was here 3 weeks ago and told her she needed to stop helping herself because she's eating and drinking stuff that I wanted and or made for myself. She said, oh, I'm sorry, and then stopped coming around for a while. Well, today I made 4 homemade pizzas. I told the kids to come help themselves to dinner and that I had to go get the baby down for a nap real quick and I'd be right back. Well, it took me like 45 minutes because the baby is fussy. She just had shots. That sucks. I come back and all the pizza is gone. And my mother-in-law and husband are sitting there chowing away. I just said, are you kidding me right now? My husband asked what was going on and I said, you guys couldn't have left me even a slice? Sure, let's feed the neighborhood before I get to eat. That's so awesome of you guys. Thanks. And started to walk off. My oldest son, 13, comes in and he's like, Mom, I left you out a plate. I put it right here on the counter. And walks over to grab it, and lo and behold, that's gone too. Mother-in-law said, I thought it was left over from dinner. So my son's apologizing to me even though he did nothing wrong, but my mother-in-law and husband just stand there. They literally aren't saying anything. So I look at both of them and said, you both need to leave now. My husband then decides to speak, saying that it was an honest mistake and that no one meant any harm, and said I was making a mound out of a molehill, which honestly just pissed me off further. Hey, hubby, put that in your list of things not to say, okay? You're overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Insert foot. How them toes tasted, bro. So I snapped again and said, yeah, except every time your mother comes here, I end up going without because she eats or drinks my portion of everything. But sure, let's defend someone taking food out of my mouth, shall we? Pissed off and this added for dramatic effect. His mother just storms out of the house. My husband looks at me like I'm insane. So I say, quick, chase her, and walk out. My husband thinks I'm mental and that all of this could have been resolved if I had acted like an adult. Hey, put that in your book too. But put those right underneath all the other shit about your overreacting, saying she's mental and saying you should act like an adult. Put those in your book too. He won't come home. But at this point, I don't even want him to come home because it means his mother will stay away. That's it. That's the story. Okay, so the question was, am I the astronaut for flipping out on my mother-in-law and husband for eating all the food before I had eaten? Hell no. Hell no. Okay, mom's around all the time. All the time. Mother-in-law is around all the time, just helping herself to whatever, right? Hubby knew that she had not eaten anything yet. An honest mistake. You know what? Putting myself in the position of a husband whose wife gave birth 4 months ago, her eating is pretty important, right? It's pretty important. Pretty important. And I feel like making sure that she eats first is part of your job as a dad. Her ability to eat food affects her ability to care for your child. Brozo was for Opie's hubby. Bizzo's for mother-in-law here. For just blatantly giving 0 shits. Also, mother-in-law showing up just to eat and see her baby boy without offering to help with the baby at all. Get out of here. Go home. Go home. And if he is just suckling at her teeth, then he can go right along with her. Your family is here, sir. Your family that you are supposed to take care of, protect, provide for, is here. but she's spending so much time there because she shows up and treats him like her little baby, and he just gets sucked into it, apparently, and forgets that he's got a family that he's supposed to be taking care of. And now it's gotten to the point where her visiting has caused harm. Caused harm. Why didn't hubby make her a plate? That's a good question, Jennifer. Why didn't hubby make her a plate? Why was it on the 13-year-old kid to make mom a plate? And even that got eaten. Because mother-in-law thinks your house is CC's Pizza and just shows up for the buffet every night. You know what you ought to do? Assuming that this is going to be a week of bullshit, and then it's going to blow over, and then hubby's going to come back and be like, I'm sorry. But he's not really going to change who he is. And assuming that mother-in-law takes a month off because she's pissed at you, but eventually starts coming back around because she wants to see her baby boy and because she's hungry. Start a tab. Start a tab. And then after a few months of her just mooching off of you again, hit her with a bill. A stack of receipts, like at a diner. Be like, okay, here we go. Time to square up your tab here, mother-in-law. Time to square up your tab. At the very minimum, receiving some kind of monetary compensation for having to deal with her bullshit would be warranted, would it not? Hit her with a tab. Regardless of if she took food that was intended for OP or not, who's caring for a child in 4 months postpartum, regardless of if that little thing happened, the fact that mother-in-law is willing to show up and not help at all means that she can't be there. If you are visiting someone who has a newish bebe, you are showing up to help for a little bit so that they can like shower, eat, maybe sleep for a minute, or you aren't coming over. It is mind-boggling to me how many of these stories we see where mothers or mother-in-laws like seem to have forgotten what it's like to care for a brand new bebe. They just forget. Just forget. Like it's no freaking big deal. Change the locks. Change the locks. Not even to see your grandbaby. Yeah. The only bebe she cared about was her big bebe boy. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from Am I Overreacting? And is titled, Am I Overreacting for Thinking There's More Going On Between My Sis and Husband? So husband and I both, 32 female, 32 male, have been together for over 10 years and have 3 kids. My sister, 28 female, and I have a decent relationship. We aren't super close, but we get along okay. Recently, over the past 2 years, my sister went through a horrible divorce. She found out her husband was having an affair with one of their mutual friends for months. They divorced last year and had to sell their house. She is now living with my parents. Ever since the divorce, she's been coming around here and there, and I've noticed that sometimes when she talks, she tends to look at my husband more. I may be overthinking things on my end. Once she made me and my husband drinks, and for some reason she only asked him if he liked his drink, didn't ask me, even though I was right next to him. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Last night, she was over and we had a bunch of Amazon packages delivered. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so it's hard for me to be able to shop comfortably with all 3 kids, containing things that were needed around the house. My husband then proceeded to vent to my sister about all these packages and kind of joked with my sister that I probably had no idea what a lot of these boxes contained. My sister then said, yeah, I have an Amazon account, but I don't really order that many things. My husband then said, wow, that's really good, and then looked at me. I was just like, okay, good for you, to my sister. The last thing that kind of made me suspicious, but I don't know, I've noticed my husband being on Instagram a lot more as of late, and a few weeks ago I went into his messages, I clicked on the part to send out a message, and my sister was the first one to pop up as the person to message. I even continued to check over the next few days, and she kept being the first name, with my name right under hers. I've confronted my husband about all these things, and he insists that there's nothing going on between him and my sister. Regarding the whole Instagram incident, he said that was pure coincidence, that he has no control over that, and then he went and blocked her. He said so her name would no longer appear as first. I don't know, Reddit. I acknowledge that I tend to overthink things, but this has been bugging me a lot lately. Let me know if I'm overreacting. Are my sister and husband being shady? Thanks in advance. Thoughts here? Thoughts here. Kat says, listen to your gut. Something is up. Shinryo does. Some women and girls go after the men of their family members because it's like a competition. The whole thing makes you super nervous. Jupiter, Red flags, York's pudding. Girl, please, Mrs. Dixon. It is shady, Angel says. Shady AF. Listen to your gut, listen to your gut. Scandalous. Scandalous. How many beans in the pillow for mother-in-law and hubby? A lot. Squish pillows. So I wish I could buzz Candy Thunder in here, because Candy Thunder is a hardcore empath with the ability to, she's tuned into the vibe channel. And if she gets a vibe, that's like, you listen to that shit. Now, there's some context that would be useful here. Like, is this the first time you've gotten this vibe? How long have they been around each other before now? Has it been frequent or infrequent? Have you had vibes before that are unrelated to this that ended up being accurate or not? Like, there's a lot of information that I would like to know here. But there's a flip side of this coin. There's the trust your gut side of this coin. And then there's also the don't necessarily listen to all the voices in your head part of this too. And maybe it comes down to acknowledging that voice and saying, if this voice was outside of your body, would this voice be your friend? If it was a person, would it be your friend? Candy Thunder, I think that's what you would tell me, right? I think that's the direction you would take me here. To say, is this voice friendly, or is it trying to ruin my life? And here, if it's vibe, if it's a gut feeling, I think gut feelings are indication enough for investigation, right? I think you would want to substantiate that by having something to back it up. The vibe is step one, right? The vibe is a hint at something, noticing something. There has to be some kind of validation that comes up with that too. And she says that she's been looking at things and confronted him about it. And I think you might have had this confrontation prematurely. Confronting based on a vibe is tricky, right? It's tricky. I think there's vibe, and then there's investigation, and then there's confrontation with the findings of an investigation, right? But if you're close enough to talk to each other about everything, and you think you can open this dialogue up about a vibe, without your partner being defensive or it sending you in a sideways direction or doing harm, then by all means do it. If you explicitly trust your partner and can tell them all of your deepest, darkest thoughts without them judging you, I'd say go for it. Candy Thunder sent me a message here, and she said, I think if someone is hitting on you, I'd be petty. Sorry, but you're my babe. And like, yeah, I think I agree with everybody here. I don't think confronting hubby is the way to go. I think confronting sister is the way to go here. My first thought as I read through this was, oh shit, she dislikes her sister, so she is going to do to her sister what happened to her so someone else can feel this pain. She's trying to pass the pain on, and she's going to do the same thing, but to her sister. Like, it's going to make her feel better to do to someone what was done to her. That was my first thought as I was reading. I think it's a delicate situation. You have enough cause to be concerned if only your vibe tells you so, right? How concerned, I think, is then measured by evidence. But I think it is worth a conversation with your sister to establish boundaries, because right now there are none. There are the implied boundaries of society where it's like, hey, you don't flirt with your sister's husband, right? Why? Because why do you need a why to that? But your sister sees those lines as blurry. So establishing boundaries for the conversation, I wouldn't accuse her right off the bat. I'd be like, somehow approach this in a way just establishes some boundaries, and then see what happens from that. And then if it's violated again, I think it's easy to then reinforce. But having conversation one to basically be like, I shouldn't have to do this, but just so you know, he's my husband. If you touch him, they'll never find you. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again, and I have another story for you. And it's from Reddit. I know, it's surprising. And it's from the AITA subreddit. I know, also surprising. This story is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Not Wanting to Share a Personal-Sized Pizza with 3 Other People? This is my first time posting anything and I'm on mobile, so unsure if I'm doing it right. I, female 35, am gluten-free, celiac, and have been for over half my life. My husband, male 35, is not. We had 2 friends stopping by for dinner who are also not gluten-free. My husband suggested we get pizza and mentioned to me that one of the friends only eats chicken as far as meat goes, so I should factor that into my order. I said, well, that doesn't really affect me since I wasn't planning on sharing, but noted. I'll see what options they have for her. Husband freaks out on me because apparently I'm being ungrateful. He asked why I didn't want to share, and I said the gluten-free pizzas are basically personal pizzas, and I regularly eat the whole thing when we order it. I'm supposed to offer half of mine to other people when I can't eat what they are eating? He wouldn't hear me at all and said if I didn't want to share, I could pay for my own pizza myself. This is husband? Yes, this is husband. I don't really care about paying for it myself, but the idea that I'm supposed to give away some of my dinner when I can't eat what the other people are eating is stupid to me. It's not like we're ordering every pizza gluten-free. It just doesn't make sense. They eat my food. I can't eat their food. I understand the principle of offering, but one girlfriend pizza from this place, or one GF pizza? One pizza from this place is only enough for one person. And if we're getting multiple, what does GF mean? Gluten-free. Good. One gluten-free pizza from this place is only enough for one person. If we were getting multiple gluten-free ones, I'd absolutely share. But they got 2 larges for 3 of them. He continued to go on about how ungrateful I was being and said some other stupid stuff before I told him to f*** off and went upstairs. I ended up just going upstairs and not eating or seeing them at all. I came downstairs later and he had ordered me a gluten-free pizza and said from across the room, "Are you ready for your grateful-free pizza? You need to have a better attitude about things that aren't yours in the future." Your grateful-free pizza. I didn't reply or eat the pizza. I was already heating something else up and hadn't noticed the pizza, but I will eat it later because I'm pregnant and starving all the time. She's pregnant, you... Ah. I'm just going to shake my head at you and just give you what you deserve here. Dude, would it be different? Okay, there's more story here. Sorry. Just for the record, this has happened before several years ago where we ordered pizza and only one gluten-free for me and it arrived and everyone thought mine looked super good. I don't order regular pepperoni or tomato sauce, so the 4 other people, husband included, took over half of my pizza before I even got a bite. It pissed me off because I then didn't have enough food and they still had plenty plus pieces of mine. So perhaps this is a sore subject for me. Again, I'm also pregnant, though this would still bother me if I weren't. Am I the astronaut and being ungrateful? Top comment. NTA, your husband is a big one, though. Also thoughtless, literally. Are you ever heard? OP's response, am I ever heard? I don't know, to be honest. I am generally super go with the flow, and he is very much the one who cares about stuff. So 99% of the time, he gets what he wants. I started about a year ago voicing my opinions more, and he told me I was being combative, LOL. I told him he's just used to getting his way and that it was my fault for not setting proper boundaries for so long. We do have a good relationship most of the time, though, I promise. OP, blink if you need help. We have had that fight, and I told him he could do it if he didn't like how I was doing it. It was re-cleaning the stove, haha. He did therapy for a while but decided he was fixed, LOL, and hasn't been in a while. I'd like for him to go back. He knows he has control issues and finally understands that they are linked to his anxiety. He's a good person but doesn't enjoy being called out on his bullshit. It'll be fun when he eventually sees this post. Please show him the post. More info, comment, go with the flow, aka doormat, the one who cares about stuff, aka control freak. Your husband is a big asshole and a bully. OP's response, aka 100% correct. I'm not inherently a doormat, but I kind of became one without realizing it, and he loves to be in control. Anxiety makes him a planner, etc. So it worked out nicely for a long time before it became bad habits. He's not innately controlling necessarily, but he's used to being in control, so it's become a comfortable normal, if that makes sense. Been trying to undo the damage for a while. Well, that's going to take some time, OP. But, there's control in being a facilitator of everything that everyone needs. And there's control in I'm going to use my power to manipulate, harm, and teach lessons. Which is what he was trying to do here. Like, trying to teach your pregnant wife a lesson about her dietary restrictions is going to accomplish what for you, sir? If she was lactose intolerant and it was a it was a dairy-free pizza, or if she had some severe allergy, would it be different then? Would it be different? Because it's no different. She can't have gluten. It is treated like an allergy. It's like this is for this person because that's all they can eat. Everybody else gets to graze on the other 2 large pizzas. Plenty there for y'all. This concerns me mostly because you're pregnant. And yes, not for the reason you're thinking. If he's willing to use his control here to take food away from you, or to manipulate you, my concern here is that he is not going to. He's going to pull the same shit when the baby's here. He's already doing this shit. The baby is inside you. You are actively baking this baby in your oven right now, and he is willing to take food away from that baby. Red flag. Is he going to keep using this control to teach you lessons when the baby's here? This level of manipulation and the willingness to do harm. And yes, I am saying taking food away from a pregnant woman is absolutely doing harm. The willingness to do harm is a problem. You know that there's the capacity for it now. Now it's a matter of when is it going to spike there? When is that going to happen? Not if, when is it going to happen? There needs to be a serious conversation with your hubby here and explain how serious this issue is to you and establish a new boundary. And yeah, you're trying to revert back from an extended period where you allowed this to happen, and you're recognizing that it's going to take time to undo this, and that's healthy, I guess. But this you've basically hit the ceiling of your current progress, right? And you're not going to get to the next phase without some pain. So a conversation now to say, okay, here's why this is a problem. This shit has to get fixed now. Create those clear expectations. If he is in an anxiety-driven planner, he's going to appreciate those clear expectations too, because it lets him know exactly what he needs to accomplish. It's a taskable. He needs to know that he's up. He needs to know what possible things this has created in your mind. Now, because he's done this, is he going to jack around with the baby's food when the baby's here? Is he going to, when I'm breastfeeding, are you going to be jacking with me and the food I eat? Then it's not just food. What else are you going to exert control to teach a lesson on? There are too many possibilities with that tool, sir. Put that tool away. That conversation needs to happen for you to really push past this. It's the first time it sounds like on this journey of undoing all that damage that you've hit a roadblock, and you can get through that roadblock, but it's going to take work from both of you. Yeah. Jules, I don't think it's going to matter. He knows why he's doing it. There's that everybody thinks they're doing the right thing mentality, and he's probably got his own twisted worldview here that makes it to where he is not the bad guy and he is not doing anything wrong. We're obviously seeing a different angle of it. Showing him this angle is important, and I hope he got his hands on the Reddit post. I hope he saw it. I hope so. I hope commenters just tore him a new one. He can push that baby out. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is from AITA and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Asking My Daughter to Pay Me for Cooking for Her Wedding? I, 46 female, greatly enjoy cooking and baking. I've always told my kids if they had a small wedding, I'd be happy to provide the food as a wedding gift. My daughter Leslie is getting married soon. They're having 47 guests total, so I offered to cook per my long-standing offer and said I could do something like my peppered beef or jambalaya with some jalapeno cheesy biscuits. That sounds good. Leslie and her fiance Will took me up on it and said they'd help buy ingredients. Leslie sent me some recipes a few days ago, and when I asked what they were for, she said they wanted to add 1 or 2 big pot dishes that weren't spicy so Will's family could have something to eat. I know that boy can't eat a pepper or most of my meals without getting red in the face, but I didn't think his whole family was like that. Leslie said it's because his father has ulcers and stomach problems, so Will's family was careful of how they ate while Will was growing up. I told Leslie I already told her about what I was cooking for her wedding, and she argued that I'm making it about me instead of listening to what the bride and groom want. I finally told her I'd cook the extra dishes, but if she's going to treat me like I'm a caterer, then I'll need her to pay me for all the extra prep and work. Leslie said that gifts are supposed to be what the person receiving them wants, and that she might as well hire a caterer if she's going to pay, and hung up. I thought Leslie would cool down and come talk to me about how we'd handle this and reasonable payment for taking on the extra cooking, but my youngest told me when he went to visit Leslie, she and Will were talking with a catering company. Was I wrong to ask her to pay me for cooking? Okay, here, top comment here. You're the asshole if you are only willing to make a spicy dish. If you want to make, or that is the only thing you know how to make, a peppered beef or jambalaya, offer to make it not spicy. Wanting to make sure food is edible and enjoyable for all guests is common courtesy. If you don't want to lord over judge people for not eating or liking spicy stuff, even if you don't think it's spicy, yeah, it makes you an asshole. And yes, being strict about what your gift is without consideration of the receiver is bad behavior. If I know a child needs a 4-person car for their family and I offer to buy them a 2-seater sports car, that would be a-hole behavior. Truth. So I thought about this while I was taking the world's longest pee. I think this is where I'm at. I am at an everyone sucks here. Yes, OP is an asshole for being too rigid and for being defensive when they approached her about doing something different. Bride is an asshole here as well for not pre-communicating this need. She just sent her recipes. There wasn't a conversation first to be like, hey, would you mind if, or we're thinking we need to do this. And in communicating about it ahead of time, there was an assumption that she was just going to gift more with just sending recipes, right? That's where she screwed up. The assumption that she was going to gift more is an asshole thing. Worst case scenario here, I feel like Bride reaching out and being like, hey, we think we're going to need some not spicy stuff for Will's family here. Are you willing to do some of that stuff? Or we can hire a caterer. We can outsource just that food and still have your food. Would you prefer that we hire someone else to do the non-spicy stuff, or would you like to do that too? How hard was that? How hard was that? But yeah, Beer Today, I will cook as a gift, but they had already defined what she was going to cook. I think the communication is where Bride f***ed up here. I think her thought here, she did say something that turned me a little sideways. A gift is supposed to be what the person receiving it wants. I don't think that's true. Also, I don't think that's really what she meant to say. I think the assumption that this gift was going to grow without pre-communication is where she turned into an asshole for me. And if she had jumped in here and said, look, again, like I said, we're going to need this extra stuff. We can do that somewhere else, but we would love for you to do it. But we don't ask you to do too much. There's a delicate way to do that, especially if somebody is saving you a shit ton of money by doing something. I think you approach it very delicately, very respectfully, and graciously. And here, there was a shortcut, and that shortcut cost some communication. For me, I know other people are going to feel differently here. It is the communication that turned this into an ESH for me. I understand people feel differently. It's just communication, poor communication all around. All around. They like spicy food and poor communication. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.